Up until now, Polestar has served up a couple of tasty entrees in Australia with the Polestar 2 small sedan and the Polestar 3 large SUV. But now it's time for the main course, that hopefully delicious dish that should push the Chinese/Swedish car maker into the mainstream. I'm talking about the Polestar 4, and we are finally about to get our first taste of this vehicle on Australian roads. All right, enough of the food talk, it's just making me hungry. Let's go and drive a Polestar 4. This might be a Tesla Model Y rival, but the Polestar 4 is priced a fair bit further upmarket from that model. So how much exactly does the Polestar 4 cost? Just two long-range grades are offered for now. The Polestar 4 range kicks off with the single-motor rear-wheel drive at $78,500 before on-road costs, and it tops out with the dual-motor all-wheel drive from $88,350, both under the luxury car tax threshold. Tesla's Model Y starts at around $56,000 and gets to about $83,000 for the performance. So pricing for the Polestar 4 is more aligned with something like the Kia EV6 or Hyundai Ioniq 5. It does come with a lot of standard gear for your money, and the good news is both grades get an identical standard features list. The difference is with the powertrain. It comes with an Android Automotive operating system, Google built-in, wireless Apple CarPlay, 8-speaker audio system, a 15.4-inch multimedia display, planet-inspired ambient lighting, 8-way power driver's seat, 20-inch alloy wheels, and the camera-based interior mirror that replaces the rear windscreen. More on that a bit later. There are a few option packs available for both grades that bundle in a number of features, but the $7,200 performance pack is only offered on the dual motor. There are also a number of individual options, but the standard spec is impressive. For more details, check the written review at carsguide.com.au. So Polestar calls this thing an SUV, or an SUV coupe to be precise. So to me it looks more like a fastback, liftback, hatchback, wagonoid, let's just call it a crossover, okay? It's just gonna be a lot easier. Whatever you wanna call it though, it's handsome, like really handsome in the middle. The pictures don't do it justice. Whereas some of its EV competitors have a bit more of a jelly bean vibe, hello Tesla Model Y, the Polestar 4 is a lot sleeker. There's almost a vibe of the Jaguar I-Pace here, but an even more sexy version of that. You've still got a bit of ride height, but it does sit quite low to the ground, and it's just really lovely in the middle. So the most distinctive design element of the Polestar 4, of course, is its complete lack of a rear windscreen. Now, when I first saw this car this morning, I was kind of a bit taken back, and I was like, there's something that's missing, what the hell's going on? As the day has gone on, and I've been driving behind a number of examples of the Polestar 4, not only have I gotten used to it, I actually think it looks kind of cool. And I would argue that this is actually the best angle for this car. It looks good from all angles, but I really like the tail end, and this just adds an interesting element to the design of this car. The Polestar 4's interior design can be best described as stylish minimalism. Much more interesting than Tesla's appliance-like cabin design, a lot of thought's gone into the 4's interior. There's virtually no buttons, which helps the look, but that can impact practicality. A mix of whites and light and dark grey materials are broken up by pops of colour like gold seatbelts. Recycled material is found throughout, including the floor mats, the dash toppers and the seat upholstery, some of which is inspired by the fashion and sportswear industries. But being Polestar, it's with a sustainable twist. So despite the minimal design of the interior, there's a lot going on with the cabin of the Polestar 4. It's obviously heavy on the digital. Can you see a button? I mean, I can, there's one there, but there's not many. So obviously it's very Swedish on that front. Storage is pretty good in this car. You've got a central bin here, which is not particularly wide, but it is deep. You've got two cup holders here, but you've got acres of space underneath the console that you can put your bag, your shoes, whatever you really want. Also, the two USB ports are hidden in here, just as an FYI. Much like some other Geely products, you have to go through the screen here to open the glove box, which is a little bit annoying. And you can't fit a bottle standing up in the doors in the front seats either. You'll have to lie that down, so make sure you pop the cap on, because otherwise you're gonna have a mess on your hands. So as mentioned, most of the functionality of this car is housed here in this screen, but the graphics are really lovely. It's very crisp, it's fast, and it's easy to use. Okay, so I'm sitting behind my 6 foot tall driving position here, and as you can see, I have an obscene amount of knee and leg room. Not so much toe room. The powered seats up the front take up a lot of space there, so my toes kind of just get stuck here, but I've got a lot of space, more than I need, which is great. There's no transmission tunnel, of course. It's an electric vehicle platform, so lots of space in the middle here, and also a fair amount of space across the rear row as well. One thing that I've noticed as well is that how comfortable these seats are in the back. The front seats are really lovely as well. This is the Napa leather, sustainably sourced Napa leather, you'll find. It has a bit of a neat trick as well, the Polestar 4. If you pull this down, it's not just an armrest, you'll find. Of course, you've got the cup holders there, but Polestar 4 has a reclining rear backrest. Not many cars like this have that. Storage-wise, you're not going to get a bottle in the door here unless it's very, very small, but you do have air vents on the side, air vents down here, climate controls at the back, a couple of USB-Cs. It's mostly ticks in the back here. So, what is the Polestar 4 boot like? Now, you're not going to get as much space as you do in the Polestar 3. That's a bigger car, that makes sense. But there's quite a decent amount of space here, and if you want more, there is underfloor storage. And in that underfloor storage, you can put a number of items, but there's also quite a deep bin, and that's where the charging cable lives. If that's not enough storage, then there is more in the front trunk or frunk, depending on what you want to call it. So there's also quite a neat feature just here. Now that's where the camera is for the rear view display that pops up inside the car. Now, when you open the boot, that does not hinder the vision. It actually pokes right through and doesn't impede it in any way, shape or form. Very smart. The Polestar 4 comes with 2 powertrain options, both battery electric. As its name suggests, the long-range single motor has one motor driving the rear wheels only, and it pumps out 200 kilowatts of power and 343 newton meters of torque. That makes for a 0 to 100 kilometer dash time of 7.1 seconds, on the way to a 200 kilometer an hour top speed. The long-range dual motor has a second motor on the front axle for all-wheel drive grip, and the power and torque is bumped to 400 kilowatts and 686 newton meters. You'll get to 100 kilometers an hour a bit quicker at 3.8 seconds too. The Polestar 4 uses a 400 volt 100 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery. The long-range single motor has a healthy EV driving range of up to 620 kilometers on the WLTP standard. Energy consumption ranges from 17.8 to 18.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Range in the dual motor dips to a still impressive 590 kilometers, and efficiency sits between 18.7 and 21.7 kilowatt hours. The Polestar 4 offers up to 22 kilowatts of AC charging capacity, which makes for a full 0 to 100% 32 amp home charge in just 5.5 hours. DC charging capacity is up to 200 kilowatts, and you should be able to get from 10 to 80% full in about 30 minutes. These add up to solid figures for the price and the segment, but note that the 4 does not come standard with a home charging cable. That's an option. There's a bit of a phenomenon with some EVs that kind of tend to feel a bit the same as the last EV you've driven, particularly more maybe mainstream brands, more affordable models, that sort of thing. It's like, is there really that much difference between how the thing performs? I think Polestar have done a very good job, as they should, given they claim to be an electric performance brand, of injecting a very nice amount of spice into the Polestar 4. So earlier I was driving the single motor long range Polestar 4 and I was really impressed with the ride quality. It wasn't really jittery or anything like that, and it had the standard wheels on it, so it managed to soak up bumps pretty well. And then I got into the long range all-wheel drive that had the optional 22-inch wheels. Now, that was a different story when it comes to the ride quality. It was very firm. Now, that model also has adaptive dampers, so you can tweak that for something that's a bit more comfortable, but even in the most comfortable mode, it was rather firm. The grades with the adaptive dampers also have adjustable steering feel, and when I got into the performance pack version before, it was really heavy. Still really sharp, but just really heavy, so I dialed that down a little bit and it was a bit more engaging for my tastes, but some people really like that heavier feel in a performance car, and that makes sense. There's absolutely no hesitation with the acceleration of this car. Oh my God, my face just went like that. Holy smokes. It's just so quick off the mark, and also particularly quick to pick up pace when you're already at speed. It's very fast. But unlike some EVs that are just fast in a straight line and that's their party trick, there's a lot more to the Polestar 4 than just that. Like, this thing is an SUV, but it doesn't feel that high off the ground. There is a little bit of a ride height here, but you still feel really connected to the road. And man, it can really handle a corner. There is a bit of body roll when taking corners at speed, but certainly nothing to concern yourself with. It's still really engaging and it feels incredibly planted to the road. Again, this is the dual motor long range, and it's obviously quite a bit quicker than the single motor one, but both of them had grip for days. So about this mirror, it's pretty controversial of Polestar to remove the rear window completely and replace it with a camera display. And it works up to a point. I'm looking at it now and I think it's fine, but the car behind me looks a lot closer in that thing than it does in the rear view mirror. And I just don't know if it's necessary. I know that they've justified why they've done it. It adds more space in the back, and that may well be the case. I just don't know if it adds enough space to justify the decision of doing that. It does feel very much like tech for tech's sake. I know I say that a bit, particularly when it comes to the external rear view digital mirrors, but which this doesn't have. I'm talking about other cars, but I'm struggling to see why they've bothered doing this to get what I think is a minimal amount of extra space in the back. The Polestar 4 is yet to be crash tested by ANCAP or Euro NCAP, so it's unrated for now. But it comes with the latest advanced driver assist systems like adaptive cruise and collision avoidance and mitigation, as well as 11 exterior cameras, 12 ultrasonic sensors and 1 front radar to help keep you safe. It also comes standard with the Pilot Pack that includes lane change assist and pilot assist, which is like semi-autonomous driving. For more, check out the written review at carsguide.com.au. Covering the Polestar 4 is a 5-year unlimited kilometre new vehicle warranty and an 8-year or 160,000 kilometre battery warranty. Roadside assist covers you for 5 years as well, but the cherry on the cake is that Polestar won't charge you a cent for servicing for the first 5 years or 100,000 kilometres of ownership, whichever comes first. It's totally complimentary. I've managed to drive all grades of the Polestar 4 today on a number of different road surfaces in a few different environments. So, what's the verdict? While I might not love the lack of a rear windscreen, there'll be plenty of people drawn to the techie vibe of the digital rearview mirror. Aside from that, it's an incredibly impressive effort from Polestar. It elevates the brand beyond the Polestar 2 and takes it in a much more premium direction, but without the astronomical price tag. The 4 is loaded with features and tech. It has a spacious and flexible cabin and it looks gorgeous. It's also powerful, fast, fun and composed on the road. For more on the Polestar 4, head to carsguide.com.au.